We like to think our modern economy is a high-tech machine driven by algorithms, central banks, and real-time data. We have convinced ourselves that we have finally solved the cycle of boom and bust. But 600 years ago, one man realized that every empire, no matter how wealthy, is actually a ticking time bomb. He did not use spreadsheets or stock charts. He watched real empires rise, peak, and rot from the inside. His name was Ibn Khaldun, and he discovered a secret code of human behavior. This was a pattern that predicted the fall of Rome, the Great Depression, and perhaps exactly where we are heading today. In the year 1332, the world was anything but stable. In North Africa and Europe, dynasties rose and fell in a single generation. The Black Death was moving through cities with brutal efficiency. Ibn Khaldun was not an academic locked away in a library. He was a high-level diplomat and advisor who served in royal courts and was even imprisoned by his rivals. He lived through chaos, and that chaos became his laboratory. He noticed that whether it was a desert tribe or a golden city, the story always followed the same arc. Discipline turned into comfort. Comfort turned into decadence. And decadence turned into decline. What he understood, and what makes him so relevant today, is that economic systems are not machines. They are social organisms. They depend on trust, cohesion, and shared belief. When those weaken, no amount of gold or authority can save the structure. At the center of his thinking was a concept he called asset. Translated loosely, it means social cohesion, or the glue that holds a group together. But in economic terms, it is far more than just getting along. It is trust. It is the willingness of people to cooperate, to sacrifice, and to invest in something larger than themselves. Ibn Khaldun observed that groups with strong cohesion were productive and resilient. Wealth followed them naturally. This did not happen because they were richer to start with, but because their structure allowed productivity to flourish. But here is the catch. Success kills cohesion. As wealth accumulates, the elites grow distant from the people who actually produce the value. Rulers become insulated. The discipline that built the system softens. Comfort replaces necessity. This is not a moral judgment. It is a change in incentives. When survival is no longer urgent, behavior changes, innovation slows. Extraction becomes easier than creation. The state begins to live off its past success rather than its present productivity. Nowhere is this clearer than in his analysis of taxation. Ibn Khaldun spotted a trend we now call the Laffer curve. He observed that early in a state's life, taxes are low. People work and trade willingly because they get to keep most of what they earn. This makes the economy expand, which actually brings in more revenue for the government. But as a state matures, it grows fat. It needs more money for its massive bureaucracies, its expanding military, and its luxury. So the rulers raise taxes. At first, revenue goes up, but eventually the burden becomes too heavy. People realize that working harder only means being punished more. They stop producing. The tax base shrinks. The response is predictable. To maintain its lifestyle, the state raises taxes again and again. Each increase accelerates the decline. The state is not starving because it taxes too little. It is starving because it has exhausted the very people who created the wealth in the first place. If Ibn Khaldun were alive today, he would not be distracted by the speed of our markets or the complexity of our math. He would look past the screens and focus on the same things he always did. He would look at incentives, cohesion, and power. Modern economies believe they have escaped history through better data and policy. But the cycle has not disappeared. It has just changed form. Today, we use debt to delay the inevitable. Debt allows a state to maintain its scale and its standard of living without confronting its declining productivity. For a while, it works. Confidence holds. But the underlying dynamic has not changed. The system is consuming its future to support its present. Ibn Khaldun would recognize this moment instantly. It is the stage where maintaining appearances becomes more important than maintaining foundations. This is where leaders mistake temporary stability for permanent strength. Ibn Khaldun's genius was not that he predicted the future. It was that he stripped the future of its mystery. He did not believe these cycles could be prevented because they are a consequence of success itself. The same forces that build wealth eventually undermine the conditions that made wealth possible. So what does that mean for us? Understanding the cycle does not make you immune to it, but it does change how you see it. You stop mistaking a peak for permanence. You recognize that beneath every market and every financial system lies the same fragile foundation of trust. When trust holds, prosperity follows. When it fractures, the decline begins quietly long before the headlines catch up. History does not repeat because people are foolish. It repeats because human incentives remain stubbornly consistent. Ibn Khaldun saw that clearly, centuries before we had charts and equations to name it. If you're seeing the modern economy in a new way, give this a like and hit subscribe for more awesome content.